I can't believe it. The actual, all the nuts, all the bolts, all the screws, everything's in now. That's why I wanted to get those doors done. And this can all go home. I can't believe it. Hi folks, and welcome back to the plot. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous Sunday morning. The sky is clear and blue. It is so nice. It's still sort of all the dew on the grass, about 9:30, and it's one of those mornings where we kind of woke up, saw the blue sky, and I just went, cancel the plans. I've got to make use of this. I'm getting down the allotment, kind of making a bit of time. And what I want to do is finish off the polytunnel doors, obviously. Now, I've got a pretty good idea of what I'm doing now and how to do it, so hopefully it will just take me 5 minutes. In theory, it's not actually going to happen, but that's the plan. I'm going to quickly do that and then let you know how it went, and then there's lots of other things to do today. It's a little bit funny around here, but I think that's just the plastic. I was trying to do a nice little demonstration there of like, hey, look, we've got a working door. Now, I'm pretty happy with this. There's some hawky-balkiness at the other end, but we've got it. We've got both of these in, they're working, the door will stay shut now. It's pretty good, and I don't know if the forecast is just completely wrong today. It's like 14 degrees on the forecast. I'm sweating buckets. I'm so hot. Maybe it's just because I've been going in and out of the tunnel. One thing that I don't like about this, the only thing really, is that when you kind of flick this up, it would be really easy, I speak from experience already, just messed around with it, to kind of like, you pick it up and you flick it into the plastic, and I can see me doing that far too hard and then just putting a hole in this plastic. And I'm speaking from experience. I know it's likely because I just did it on the other door. I didn't put a hole in it, but I very, very nearly did. But this is quite a nice little mechanism. I think it's still a bit tough over here, but I think that's actually because of all the plastic that's still in the door frame there. And speaking of all that plastic, I keep getting comments which really make me laugh. People begging me to cut this stuff and get rid of it because it's annoying them, and tell me about it. I know how annoying this is because I'm wrestling with it. But why have I left it? Basically, the day that I cut and trim that plastic around the doorway, that's the day the tunnel is done. It's gonna be like cutting the ribbon. I've been looking forward to it for like a month now. That's gonna be one of the very last touches that I do, and I'm hoping it will be quite kind of symbolic. It's going to be like a meaningful thing, and it's going to be nice as well because I won't be so annoyed with it all the time. But I just can't believe how warm it is. Let me show you what I mean about the hawky-balkiness at the other end of the tunnel here. So I am basically content that this is done, and for whatever reason this door just hangs a little bit further out from the tunnel. You can't see it because of all the plastic that I haven't trimmed off yet, but it doesn't need any of that extra woodwork or anything like that. It's not going to actually stop it from catching the pleats or protect it in any better way. What issue we do have though is at the bottom. Now, it's basically impossible to properly show you or explain what's going on with the level of this. When you look at something on a camera, it's just so hard to tell. But basically, the issue here is that the soil level inside the tunnel, at this end of the tunnel, is much higher than outside. And obviously I need to get outside to, match the door frame and all that kind of stuff. And it's just one of those things. When I was leveling out bits of the areas, I didn't come out quite far enough. And so the issue is the plastic bulges out at the bottom, and then the door catches along the plastic along the bottom. So you can see, elegant solution. Got a nice bit of rotten wood and a little bit that I've just hammered in to the soil there. And that basically just acts as a runner to stop that plastic being caught. Now, normally in a properly properly done tunnel that you'd done first time, this base rail would be a little bit lower and you wouldn't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff. And you would kind of prepare the whole area first. I did all of it in a bit of a rush. I had to raise up the level so that, you know, because the plastic was secondhand and all this stuff. No big deal really, but I'm pretty content with this one. It doesn't need the roller either. It just kind of, it's a lot more plumb, it's a lot more square. And although there is this gap, it's just a bit of extra ventilation. I don't really mind it. And this is kind of the opposite of the prevailing wind side. So if anything, that's going to act a bit more as a vent. So if air is getting in on the prevailing wind side, it's kind of blowing through the tunnel, there's a bit more room for it to escape, and, you know, a bit less positive pressure that's going to build up inside the tunnel. So I think that's probably a good thing, if anything. How long do you think it took me to fit a couple of final bits to the doors? Place your bets in the comments. It's been much longer than I would like to admit, and I'm pretty pooped already, to be honest. It's so hot. Get a bit hungry for lunchtime, so I'm gonna have a little tidy up with the tools because I've just left everything all over the place. And then there's a few little bits I just want to harvest that I'm really looking forward to. Okay, so I really wasn't planning on filming me putting away the tools, not exactly riveting viewing, but I've just realised something. So the structure is done. I think it's official. I'm packing up all the tools and it just suddenly occurred to me that this is it. A lot of these tools, well, most of these tools now can go home and stay there. One of the things that I found a little bit frustrating about this tunnel, you know, it's been that sort of thing where I've got a couple of hours here and there, and I really love walking to the allotment. Walking to the allotment for me is like almost as important as whatever I actually do at the allotment. I love the walk here, and where I've got all these various tools and stuff, 9 times out of 10 I have to bring them in the car, so I brought the car today. Ugh. Oh my god, there's a massive like spider cocoon on this bag of tools. I think Jess would kill me if I brought that home. But yeah, I mean, that shows how long I've been doing this. But yeah, it's really suddenly dawned on me, and I'm feeling quite emotional. I can't believe it. The actual, you know, all the nuts, all the bolts, all the screws, everything is in now. That's why I wanted to get those doors done. And this can all go home. I can't believe it. It's like, I'm in shock. I actually can't believe it. All I've got to do now is leveling and digging and that kind of stuff. And that, you know, all those tools just live in the shed. I actually can't believe it. Really weird. And once again, a quick shout out about this Lasky laser level. This was really kindly sent to me, and to be fair, I kind of forgot to put the links in the description when I first showed this off in one of the videos. This was actually really, really handy when I was getting all of the framework set out, the hoops and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I do recommend it. It's a little bit pricey, but one of those things that is so handy to have in the cupboard, and I've used it quite a few times at home now already. So big thanks to Lasky, links in the description. I can't believe it. I absolutely cannot believe it. I know I'm just repeating myself at this point, but this is just one of those days, you know, where everything just comes together, and I've just been smiling all morning. One of those Sundays where I've got nothing else to do, nowhere else to be. I was just putting the finishing touches on this tunnel. And oh wow, you know, just wow. I can't believe it. It's finally happening. It's finally, it's starting to feel like it's coming together. There's still so much to do in here in terms of leveling, maybe a bit of digging over here and getting support bars and all that kind of stuff, but it feels like it's nearly done. It really does. I just can't wait to take that plastic off the door frames. Right, next thing, let's go outside, because there's a few things that, to be honest, I forgot about. And it's these, look, we've actually got some winter squashes. This butternut hasn't actually completely died back. Look at that, still got a flower on it, wow. Which is weird, because I think they started to die back a long time ago, and then they've had a sort of resurgence. I don't know, it's been a very weird year. All of my squashes died back so early. This is just a little one, but I'm gonna take it anyway, because we've got a lot more cold nights on the way. Leave a nice big bit of stem on it, let it cure up. And yeah, butternuts are one of those funny things. I seem to have alternating years. You know, one year will be bad. This year is bad. We've got 2 squashes, not great. But then the alternating year will be amazing. So last year we had so many. We were inundated, I don't know, 6 or 7. And I think we've still got some soup in the freezer. You know, we just had so much and kind of got sick of it. So it's like, It's like nature can tell, you know, and it's like giving us a break this year. And then hopefully next year we'll have another bumper crop. Over here too, a little uchiki curry. I think that's how it's pronounced. This little pumpkin, this is definitely cured now. It's got a nice big fat one of those. What's the name for these? I bet they've got like a scientific or botanical name. I don't know, but I know it's important to cut those nice and high so that the pumpkin kind of doesn't rot or anything like that. It kind of protects it a little bit. I'm really happy with this. This is a tiny little cute pumpkin. I tried to grow this last year, and I think even the year before that, so it's kind of third time lucky, I think. Well, maybe it just feels like 3 years, but we only got one, but it's still a win. And the plan for this now that we've taken those last few harvests, and there might be one more courgette on there still to come, it's just trying, but we'll cover this just with black plastic matting and horse manure, leave the wood chip paths, and hopefully over winter it'll do its thing, and then next season we'll have a bit of a better year. Is there any of the phacelia coming out? Oh yeah, I think it might just be starting. This is one of those things where just as it germinated, we then had loads and loads of cold, but hopefully we'll have some nice phacelia, green manure on here. The rest of the beds need a bit of attention. Look at that cosmos. So this was full of bees just now. So late in the season, so nice to see. I don't know if you remember, but I planted so many squashes this year. There's one here. This is the acorn squash. I think this is probably done. And it is a bit of a shame, to be honest. It's one of those things, it was as the hay fever really kicked off and everything went a bit sideways, I kind of put squash in everywhere. There were a couple of plants here, there was one there. There were loads all over here. You know, I'm kind of saying that I'm happy with that, and I am. But, oh, look at that. Oh, I was trying to get a close-up shot of the red admiral butterfly. But, you know, it's not great for the amount of bed that they took up. But, yeah, it wasn't just on here. It was also over on what I was calling for a little while the third plot. And this is my auntie and uncle's plot, which is in fact on this allotment, you know, it's just a few over. And you've not seen it in a long time because I've not seen it in a long time, to be honest. I sent them a message a few months ago, basically just saying, I'm really sorry. I can barely keep up with my own at the moment. As you guys will have seen, mine's been, you know, not great the end of this summer. So, yeah, unfortunately, one of those things, just, I think sometimes you have to be a bit realistic about how much you can do on the plot. My time and energy has been mostly consumed by this tunnel for obvious reasons. But we could go and have a look, couldn't we? I'm nervous. I'm actually quite nervous. I don't really want to, but shall we do it? It's voiceover, JB, for reasons that will become apparent, but it's not looking good, is it? It's just pretty overgrown, and the main thing that we planted on here were a few beans and lots of squash plants. This is just look at this, one tiny little squash. This is one of the patty pans, and I was hoping it was going to get a bit bigger than this because this is pretty pathetic. You can barely tell where the beds are. I kind of took back a lot of this black plastic matting to let it breathe a little bit, and there was a squash that ran all the way around the outside of this. It was looking really healthy, and you can see there's one other little orange squash down there. It's got a nice big snail on it. You can see it's just completely died back, and it's just, you know, one. I guess it's okay, isn't it? It's better than nothing. You can see something's had a little scratch at it, but that looks pretty good compared to the pumpkins over here, which are just like, honestly, these must be the worst things I've ever seen on YouTube. One's been eaten completely. You know, this orange one, something's had a good go at it. Bit of a shame, really, isn't it? Not ideal. So yes, not ideal. And you will have noticed I had to voice over that bit because the neighbours over there have got like party music blaring. Like, it's like a rave. Every now and then you get people having a little bit of music on, you know, but they got it cranked up. It's just like, you can't have it on YouTube because you get demonetized. But yeah, not particularly encouraging, you know, kind of apologies to aunt and uncle there, but just one of these things, you can only do so much, can't you? And they've understood that, they've appreciated it. So, you know, we did a little bit. Just imagine what it would have looked like if I hadn't been caretaking it for at least a little bit, you know. Right at the start of spring, just as it was starting to get to kind of waist-high grass, I did quite a lot of work. So it could have been much, much worse, and hopefully when they're back to kind of some kind of routine and normality, they've just had a newborn. That's why I've been looking after it for them. then kind of in spring, hopefully they can come back and do a little bit. But you know, it's just one of those things with allotments, it really is. For me, we're definitely getting to that. Can you see me? There's a massive fennel in front of the camera there, isn't there? Can you see me? I hope so. I was going to say it's that time of year where we're sort of getting to, well, I certainly am anyway, starting to think about the lessons I've learned over the years. And well, we do that all the time as gardeners, don't we? But it's kind of a continual process of learning. That's one of the great things about gardening. But one of the things I was going to say, one of the big lessons for me is certainly I can't afford to take on any more plots, you know. You always want to have more as an allotmenter, I'm sure. A lot of people do anyway, but I have definitely hit my limit. This is one full plot now that I've got, and I don't want any more ever. Trying to do a little bit on my aunt and uncles has just been enough to teach me that. And to be honest, I think it's quite a good way to learn. It's much better than taking on a whole plot by yourself. Look at this weird leek. Most of these look quite nice. Look at this one. Oh no, is that allium leaf miner? Look at that one. It's got a bit of a kink. I can't see any. They kind of burrow in, don't they? It might just be a bit funky, actually, but I'll check the other ones. For some reason, once again, touch wood, a little bit down there, I don't seem to get allium leaf miner on this plot. I don't really know why. It's just maybe because everyone else has got white rots. There's not that many alliums that are growing around here. Do you think there's anyone out there who has an allotment that is as scruffy and looking as bad as mine, who is smiling as much and having such a good time on their allotment? Look at this harvest. It's so far from perfect. I've had years where, you know, the squashes would be overflowing on this table, but I say this all the time. It's practically a catchphrase. Any food is like a win, you know. Being able to take home something like this is just brilliant. My sister-in-law has literally just bought a massive pumpkin from the supermarket. So she's going to kill me when she sees those, but hey-ho. Oh, I just can't believe it. And what a milestone with the doors and the tunnel. It feels like a big weight off my mind, you know. It's been so good today, though, just coming up and kind of hanging out, you know, coming out with no plan, finding a few things. Oh, thank you ever so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed. An extra special thank you to all of my patrons, especially my chili pepper tier patrons, Tony, Bill, Pam, Louise, Mel, Michael, Denise, Socks in the Garden, and Andrew. And Craig, I think you resubbed. Thank you ever so much, and hopefully I'll see you again very soon.